Yep, don't worry, you can sit right beside me. It's not, I have the whole bus available.
You love it, Pat.
Where are we going?
Oh, we got a good one today, Pat. You know how I always mess up Pinot Noir and Baco Noir?
Yes.
Well, these guys are bringing Baco back.
Okay.
It's called Henry of Pelham.
Oh.
So apparently these guys, they make a ton of good wine, but they make a legendary Baco. So I think finally I'll be able to get it straight. Apparently, it's run by 3 brothers, but the family has owned the land since they were deeding land back in the 1800s.
The 1800s. Where is this place?
It's at St. Catharines.
Ralph, St. Catharines wasn't around in the 1800s.
Yes, it was. The Welland Canal, William Hamilton Merritt, Canada's oldest bar, the Underground Railroad. Do you know Harriet Tubman lived in St. Catharines? When do you think that was?
Ralph, St. Catharines is Brock University, the First Ontario Performing Arts Center, Meridian Center, Port Dalhousie.
Yes, and Henry of Pelham.
River Line.
Yes, there's
the
a
Ice
lot.
Dogs.
It's all there. I tell you what, when we're done at Henry of Pelham, we'll hit St. Paul Street. There's the St. Catharines sign, Henry of Pelham. Look at that. That is an old building, eh? See, there's the 1800s. Huh?
We just went to the 1800s.
Yes, Baco.
Baco to the future.
Baco to the past.
Audie, make sure that when you go to Henry of Pelham, you try the Baco, not the Pinot.
All right. Check it out. Let's do this. Oh, wow. Look at this place. This is legit original.
Remember when I told you I had that dream?
Yeah.
This was it. This was it. This was the dream.
Hey guys,
Hey, Paul.
how are you doing?
Ralph.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Patrick.
Great to meet you, Patrick.
Well,
This is, you did not build this to look like an old building. That's an old building.
No, this was built by Henry in 1842. The brick part and the wood extension is 1852.
Wow.
It ran as an inn and a bar for about 75 years.
Oh,
a
really?
lot of stories in
Yeah,
there.
I'm
Probably
sure
a lot
a
of
lot.
beer spilled, wine.
Probably a lot of drunk people.
And you used to live in there.
Years ago we did, when this was just called a farm, we used to live there and work on the vineyards. And then for a couple of years when we got it running as a winery, we did live in there, but it got a little bit hairy, so I had enough.
Wine tours.
Wine
Little
tours.
tours.
You in the barrel,
Running.
waking
Yeah.
up at 5 a.m.
Waking up with 40 people staring at you, looking for coffee.
It's brothers that run it, right?
3 brothers. We planted the vineyards and have been working together for now 30 years or more, actually.
So Henry, how does he fit into this?
Well, his father fought in the British-American Revolutionary War because Nicholas fought for the British. He was awarded Crown land. Henry was his youngest son, and Henry built this building in 1842. We named the winery after Henry because we were looking in the old archives, and when he got a liquor license, because even in 1794, you needed a liquor
You're still an
license.
LCBO back then.
Right, not quite. He signed his name Henry of Pelham, recognizing Pelham Road and Pelham Township.
Really?
And that's where we got the name, although his real last name was Henry Smith.
And you don't even have an accent.
Yeah, no, I don't have the white hair wig
Right
either.
here, the accent.
Nothing.
I thought you were going to come
No.
out with one of those bayonets. What happens?
We lost our British sense of humor.
So he farmed it. Now you guys are farming it. A lot of people forget that wineries are actually an agricultural endeavor. I mean, this is still a farm.
Farming is the true guts of what we do. I mean, I always say we're the best dressed farmers in the area, but we're still farmers.
I don't know about that. There's some prune farmers, and they go all out.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
So, you're well known for your Baco. So we came here to find out what a Baco is.
Matt is the king of all Baco growers, and he is an expert in it, so he's the right guy to talk to. Matt's actually just out by the cemetery, right around. There's this nice vineyard out there, so you should go check it out.
There's a cemetery here?
That's where all the family's been buried over the years.
That's where Henry is.
Henry is there. Henry's dad's there.
Has it been blessed?
It gets blessed.
Let's go give our respects to Henry
Okay.
and meet Matt.
Perfect.
All right.
Well, and then we'll come back in here.
Awesome.
All right.
All right.
Forward to it.
We won't walk through your living room, we promise.
Go.
Pat, look. That's the headstones he was talking about.
That's the dead people.
That's Henry of Pelham is laying right there.
Here's a live person.
I'm Ralph.
Hey, great to meet you.
Hi, Pat.
Terrific, awesome. Great to meet you guys.
As
So Paul was just telling us about the headstones. They're right there. That's a real thing.
Yeah, I
Henry
mean,
is right there.
he is, absolutely. Henry and actually his parents, the original settlers of this land, Catherine and Nicholas Smith. back in the late 1700s. Actually, 1794 was the original deed on the land.
Really?
And, yeah, you know, they cleared this land originally, and then they had their 14 kids to help them.
14 kids. So like you must have 18, 19 to keep that kind of blood flowing in the family?
Yeah, and I don't got that kind of energy. I got 3, that's enough.
That's it? Oh, disgrace.
What would Henry think?
Yeah, they're turning over in their grave. You gotta get on that, man.
Gotta pick up the pace.
We'll take care of the vineyard. You go make some more kids. ASAP.
I got my babies out here with these vines.
That's true.
They keep me busy enough. Yeah, you know, they cleared this land, and as they passed on, they were buried in the vineyard, which was a tradition back then.
And the vines are right over there.
Yeah, our Baco vineyard, our most famous vineyard's right behind us. If you guys want to check it out.
I want to check out the Bacos.
Great, let's do it.
So these are Bacos.
Yeah, this is it. This is without a doubt our most famous vineyard at the winery. Our signature wine is Baco Noir.
These are a lot bigger than what we've been seeing for this time of year.
Yeah, it's one of the things that's a bit unique about Baco is it's a very robust growing variety. It grows a larger plant than most, a little bit larger leaf. It's a very vigorous growing plant.
Are you the Baco of the brothers?
Yeah, that's a good question. Good question.
It is a good
I like to think of
question.
myself as the Baco.
I think Paul might have a different answer.
Yeah, you might get 3 different answers to that question.
Well, the big leaves, what are the grapes like?
Yeah, so that's another thing that's kind of unique. So it's a large leaf, robust growing plant, but actually the cluster size on Baco is actually relatively small. And in particular, the berry size is relatively small compared to other varieties.
So what's more important, the berry size or the stem size?
Yeah, that is the eternal question. I like to think the berry size, to be honest with you, is, you know, with red wine in particular, a smaller berry means a more intensely colored and flavored wine. It means a higher ratio of skin to juice contact, and the color and tannin and structure in red wine comes from the skin.
These aren't ready for sure.
Yeah, no, yeah, these are a little ways off. This is actually in the growing cycle, we call this a pea size.
Okay. And they are pea size. So
Yeah.
how big do they get?
Right, so
Relative.
pea size, this stage we are basically about midway through the growing cycle. So the berries are halfway to their final size.
They're halfway there.
Yes.
Whoa.
When do they-
On stem.
When do they start the coloration?
They'll keep sizing for another 6 to 8 weeks, and then 6 weeks. And then at that point, they flip gears, shift gears, and they go into what's called veraison. And that's the point where these grapes will go from green to red. They turn color. The vines switch from producing size of berry to producing flavor and intensity of flavor, ripeness. There's another variety that often, because it sounds similar, Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
And
I
you know,
confuse them all the time.
exactly,
Peanuts.
right?
Peanuts
And we have that. Pinot Noir is a very famous variety as well. It's grown all over the world, and but it's a completely different wine from Baco Noir.
Do you ever try to breed them together?
There is, I mean, hybridizing of vines is actually what this is all about. Baco Noir actually has, it's a great question actually, it's actually was
Who knew?
Yeah,
That doesn't happen very
Is that
often.
a fluke? Origins of Baco Noir is as a hybrid, and it's actually the crossing of various varieties. Pinot Noir being in its lineage, and is developed by a viticulturalist in France in the mid-1800s named Francois Baco.
Ah.
Mr. Baco, the Baco King.
We call him Lord Baco.
So like 100 years ago, whatever time frame, Baco didn't exist.
That's right, yeah, it's a creation in the mid-1800s out of the central part of France.
So you guys have existed longer than Baco.
Amazing.
Well, yeah, technically, yeah.
Yeah, amazingly enough, yeah, the original origins of this land predate the variety.
Congratulations. God, that's
Thank you
awesome.
very much. I want to see what these taste like when they come out of the bottle.
My brother Dan has some wine in the cellar right now, ready to go. You wanna try
That's
some?
not
Let's go.
sour?
That's
No,
not sour. It's
it's
all
sweet.
finished and delicious.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah,
Let's do
we're
that.
done.
Thank you very
Perfect.
much.
That's great.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. Sorry we couldn't help more out here, but that's all right. To the Cubby Cave!
My name's Belinda, and it's time to explore what happens after the vineyard and in the winery. Once the grapes are harvested, they're loaded into a destemmer crusher at the winery to remove and separate the berries from their stems and release the juice inside. What results is a mix of juice, grape skins, and seeds. Yeast is then added to this mix and feeds on the sugar, converting it into alcohol and transforming the juice into wine. In red wine making, the grapes are fermented with their skins and seeds, which gives the wine its red colour. During the fermentation, the grape skins float to the top of the fermenter, forming a cap. In order to ensure the colour is released from the skins must be submerged daily into the fermenting wine by either punching down the cap with a plunger or by pumping over the young fermenting wine with a hose from the bottom of the tank to the top of the tank. After fermentation is complete, the grape skins and seeds are removed using a press, and the wine is put into oak barrels for up to 2 years until bottling for our enjoyment. Cheers!
Hi there, Pat from CorkScrewedTV. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching our program. We really appreciate your viewership as we put a lot of work into it, and we learned a lot. We drank a lot, we ate a lot. But if you want to see more, subscribe to our YouTube channel right down here, CorkScrewedTV. Make sure you hit the notification button so that you are the first to know when stuff comes out, and please share on social media.
Dan, it is so much cooler in here than it is out there.
It's pretty sweaty out there for sure.
So this is where you get to hang out every day. This is your office.
Pretty much. Whenever I get a chance, I'm down here trying a little bit of wine, a little bit of Henry of Pelham Baco.
You don't back out of the Baco, eh?
Definitely not.
I mean, they look good on the vines, but they look better in the glass.
So the classic Baco, which is in your first glass, is from selected vineyards across the winery. Barrel aged for about 6 months, and just really the idea is to make a juicy, fruit forward, easy to approach red. This wine here, the Old Vines Baco, is from vineyards that are minimum 20 years old, up to about 34 years old. So we're sourcing from our oldest blocks on the farm.
Yeah, because we just found out that you guys are 30 years old, so.
I haven't even accomplished that in my life yet.
30 years old. Yeah, you're not even 30 years old.
And then the last wine, our Speck Family Reserve Baco, is from a single vineyard that we shovel planted as kids. You can tell it was done as kids because the rows go like this, kind of bow-legged. So what I'm doing when I pour each of these wines is I'm sniffing it to make sure that it doesn't have cork taint.
Cork taint is what Superman's allergic to.
Yes, right. It's a bit like kryptonite. So corks are a natural product. And what happens is that sometimes there's a residue on them from the process of making them that can lead to a smell of like a swimming pool. Not super pleasant, but nonetheless, just out of
So you
habit.
double check before you pour, and for anyone else, you check it.
And this is what every sommelier in the world would do.
If you came to my house, I'd make sure that you had the good cork served to you.
Thank you.
No problem, you deserve it.
Okay, let's look at this wine.
Classic Baco Noir will source from a few different vineyards across the farm, typically younger vines, more juicy, more fruity, and definitely something that's, it's your everyday, easy to grab bottle of red. You see how fruity that wine is.
Yeah.
And you go to the next wine, the Old Vines, and you'll have a lot of that character in there. It's 20-year-old vines, but there's another layer of complexity that just comes from older vineyards that are more established. Their roots are deeper, they're accessing more minerals, more other, it's deeper soils, deeper into the soils. And then a good hit of North American oak specifically. We age it in the barrel for about a year.
I like the classic the best so far.
When we get to our best wines, we start naming them after ourselves. So our Speck Family Reserve is from our oldest vineyards. So these are the 33-year-old vineyards that are all crooked rows, actually 34-year-old vineyards now.
Yeah.
The lowest yield out there because they're so established. They're getting older. They're more mature vines, and we collect this fruit from south-facing slopes typically, so it's extra ripe, and then ferment it, age it in small barrels, and then we finish it in these 5,000-liter barrels for a little bit longer aging, so it gets a little more maturation in a different way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So this has the most attention to it.
Yeah, oldest vineyards, and then the most handling in the winery, but it suits the fruit, right? Like you just have an opportunity.
So out of the three, this is like the Paul. All the attention, needs the most time.
That's right. That's right. Perhaps the biggest.
Yeah.
Although that would make me the classic, and I'm catching up. So
I guess that's part for the course. No, that's nice.
I still like the classic the best.
Do you?
Yeah, I like the fruity lightness of the classic.
yeah, that's right.
Is that okay?
It's awesome. Yeah, no, they're not either or what's better necessarily. It's kind of like, what's better, a minivan or a 911? It just depends on the occasion, right?
Well, one's a great family car, and the other's.
That's how you establish your family, is with the other one.
That's where you start. Yeah, you start with the 911, you have the minivan, then you finish with the 911.
It's about context. So just where are you going to drink them, what the occasion is.
If you were going to eat with this, and I think we are.
Well, you'd have forks and knives too.
No, but what do you go to when you want to drink one of your family reserve Bacos?
Well, I mean, at any Baco, my first and favorite thing to have it with is anything off the barbecue, anything with a bit of grill on it, a little bit of char on it. Having said that, this is possibly the most food friendly, most versatile wine that we make because it's got big flavors and it's got acidity and it's not too tannic.
People talk about tannin, you go over it.
Yeah, so tannin is what's in grape skins, and what they are is a natural preservative, and it helps protect the wine as it ages. And but they like to bond to protein, and so when you sip a wine that's really tannic, your tongue is protein, and you get these long tannin molecules sticking to your tongue, and it blocks up your taste buds. So it's kind of like a shag rug on your tongue.
Oh, wow.
So
that furriness is normal.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. But a wine that's a little more aged, a little more matured, the tannins actually get shorter and they become more silky, more like crushed velvet. If you have a very tannic wine, eat it with protein. So have a big steak with a tannic red.
If these wines are friends of food, then they're a friend of Pat.
They're a friend of ours. And speaking of food, I think we're going to go have some food with some of your wine.
Fantastic.
Thank you for walking us through this. That was awesome, Dan.
A pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Chef Erik Peacock from Wellington Court, and who knew you also take up residency at Henry of Pelham?
By the time this is over, it'll be the 13th year that we've occupied this space at Henry. We love it out here. It's such a special spot.
And talk about what we're going to do.
This cool wine is like neat package, like tall Bordeaux bottle, but I love it because of its bracing acidity. So it is definitely like fruit forward, but it's also got lots of acid, and food loves acid.
Oh, why is that?
Tannin and rare meats work really well together, but this wine contains very little in the way of tannin, so it loves things that are kind of cooked more or not as rare.
So the more burnt, the better.
The more burnt?
Yeah.
No, let's not. Wine doesn't
Burnt
love
is
carbon, but it does like, this wine likes foods that are more cooked rather than less cooked.
And it's around here, the food, or it's here? I can jump back there.
Are you hungry?
Yes.
Pat's always hungry.
I know. I just feel constantly pushed around by you, but that's okay. That's what I'm here
Most
for.
people who prepare food feel pushed around by Pat.
Let's make a mess.
Yes. Is that everyone's, or is that just mine?
This is yours. And then we start to kind of assemble our plate. I love this idea that we would have like a compote or salad or tomatoes and fresh herbs and lots of garlic. That would be great on this sandwich tomorrow.
I smell it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, please.
Taste it. So would this pair the best with the earlier Baco because it's the most simple?
I think the first two levels, like
The classic,
and the old vines.
Oh, Erik, you've outdone yourself.
So usually when we're cooking steaks, we want to like sear them for a little while. We want to rest them for about as long as we cook them.
We don't have
let's
time to
just-
rest.
Please, let's take the time. Let's make it.
Thursday night, so
Oh, that looks amazing,
So
Erik.
there's juices that are naturally
yeah.
falling from the beef for sure. And I just want it to become cooler faster.
Well, we don't, we
I
can
know.
put it in the fridge.
And
or
then now that we've lost some of the salt into the pan and some of the fat, like I think it's okay to come back at it, maybe another
Re-salt?
little bit of salt.
Re-salt.
Let's wait though.
Okay.
I can feel that it's too hot right here. If we cut that right now, we're making a mistake.
We have to think, what if something happens right now and we don't get a chance to eat that?
like
So
if
we
the
have to
world
kind
ended
of.
now.
The world ends now and that's cooling and we're like, oh, we should have waited so the juices don't spill.
Oh.
What you got there, Erik?
Let's try with the different Baco though.
Okay.
Let's see what it's like.
You've got about
So
30
wait.
seconds.
I hope you find it to be tender and soft. Yes, Baco Speck family.
Speck family. Old vine.
All right, here
Yeah.
comes the comparison of a
Cheers.
lifetime.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Wow, fruit's insane. Do you get that?
Yeah, the
I just
wine's
eat.
good.
I don't think it needs more salt. Everything's good.
Has anyone ever tried to kidnap you?
No.
This is fantastic. This is exactly the information we needed. Erik, thank you very
No,
much.
it's my pleasure. Cheers, man. Great to see you.
Guys, that was over and above. What an amazing day. Paul, the history here is incredible. I had no idea that the family actually goes back to the 1700s, so this is fascinating. Dan, cork taint, never gonna hear that word and think of anyone but you. And Matt, thanks for taking us through the vineyard. I know it was hot. I know you're there every day, but it was great. Thanks for taking the time and really spelling it out for us.
Where's Pat?
It's a good question. He does this sometimes. I don't actually know where he is right now. But the good news is he'll be back. He always is. Never gone for more than a day, max. And rarely much damage. So I will, I'll leave you with that. What I will say is, if I've learned one thing today, it's that a meal without wine is like a day without sunshine. And I have you guys to thank for that.
Awesome. Glad you could come.
That was a great day.
Dan, Paul, Matt, thank you very much. Cheers. Looking forward to seeing you again soon. Cheers.
Thank you.
Great.
See you later.
See you.
Hey, you just finished watching an episode. Now, if you're anything like me, it's time for another episode. But before you do that, could you give us a subscribe and a like?